Good evening, friend. Bob Gomes, bringing you the Concern Forum live from Uganda. I hope everyone's doing well back home. As you noticed, I'm playing Billy Joel's greatest hits. I find that it kind of eases my mind being over here. Don't get me wrong, Uganda, uh, and we're like in Kampala, right? That's like the major city here. It's a beautiful place. The Brits always called it the Pearl of Africa. I mean, they got what Lake Victoria, the Nile flows all the way down here, and it's really a very interesting place. Uh, the people are fantastically honest. Uh, Believe me, trust me, they're great people. Uh, there's really no downside to being here. Uh, It's just I hate to use that term third world because it's so damn condescending. There's only one world that God willing will learn to share with each other someday. But this is Africa, and Africa has had its more than its fair share of problems. Slavery, colonialism, tyrannical dictatorships. I mean, that's just history. But the people, uh, they're basically young, right? And willing to learn. And I think that's a good thing. And me being an American, I can say that, hey, Uganda, just like we got plenty of problems back in the States. You know that as well as I do. I just believe that these folks here, give them time and they'll work it out. They'll figure it out. Uh, One of the things I do listening to Billy Joel, it really gives me an opportunity to, contemplate. I hadn't really planned to do a video this evening, but I was looking at so much of the news coming back, coming from home, and it just actually from this morning, early this morning, and it's just been gnawing at me, and actually, it's made me really. It hurts so much, and it really turns me into a real old grouch. You know what I mean? And I finally figured, well, the hell with it. Um, Everybody here has been very good to me. So let me go ahead and get it off my chest and listen to some Billy Joel and help me to feel better. I'm going to try not to make this too long, but because my lady is making a marvelous Ugandan fish meal, which I'm looking forward to. But let me say that I'm seeing what's happening back home, back at the crib, right? Uh, God, how about look? I understand that former Governor Cuomo has declared that if Mamdami wins, he will leave New York. Uh, well, I'm 8,000 miles away, but I'll scrape up the money to come back to New York to help him pack if he decides to do that. However, I would wish that he and the rest of those elected Democrats and party functionaries decide to stay there and help Mandami do the things that need to be done for our city. You know, listen, what the hell was it? A congressperson from Washington State, Democrat, right? A Democrat. He makes the comments about, oh God, it's socialism. Well, listen, what's his name? Was it Adams from Washington State? Listen, pal, I would like to say to him, are you a Democrat or are you a Fox News host? And actually, I would also say that to all the elected Democrats there, including our minority leader from Brooklyn. Um, Listen, fellas, the whole and gals, this whole thing that we're into, that you play a major role in being elected officials, it's called democracy, right? That means that the people decide who their leaders are. You know, one of the things that has become so devastating to our political system is this bullshit about gerrymandering. As someone said, I heard him say a few days ago, I thought the whole name of the game was that the people elect their rulers, not the other way around, not vice versa. The people of New York have already spoken. Under our form of government, under our present system, they've already spoken. That primary vote, where Mandami swept the stage. But listen, that's it. Now we have an election. Yet, what do I see? We have an election coming up, and I see Democrats, elected Democrats who serve a administrative role in the party, basically trying to plot and scam and scheme to find out a way to stop Mandami from winning the election. Now, I think that Mandami is a great guy. I happen to live in Uganda, where he was born. Okay. As far as the people here are concerned, great family, hell of a nice guy, good looking young man, right? Intelligent, has initiative, has guts. So what's the problem? Now, I'm hearing all this critique about, oh, well, he's a socialist and blah, 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 blah. One of the great disasters that we've had in America is the way that, especially one particular party, likes to try and play and squeeze and obfuscate with the English language, right? Socialism is not a dirty word. All of our allies, okay, allies, right? We used to have allies before Trump, friends, right? They're all socialists. Or they have socialists in the government, right? And then no one's pulling their hair on fire out there. And guess what? Democratic socialists like good wine, like a nice cut of meat, like to drive nice cars. They like to furnish their apartments nicely, and they like to make a buck, just like everybody else. Okay? Putting shoes in the oven. What those folks down south say? Putting shoes in the oven does not make them biscuits, right? calling yourself a democracy does not make you one. Okay? America, as a matter of fact, used to be a democracy, but as we have seen over the last 6 months, that can change if the people sleep. And see, that's one other thing I don't like. This business about woke. I am woke. I am a Democrat. Let's get it straight, okay? I am a liberal Democrat, progressive, okay, very woke, and a member also of DSA, right? And a disabled veteran with 26 years of military service, Army, Navy, Navy Reserve, Army Reserve, and a tab with the National Guard, Army National Guard. Okay? And that's who this left wing Democrat, woke, progressive happens to be. And I'm quite proud of it. All right? Woke. When I was a kid, I was going to St. Thomas the Apostle on 118th Street. Shout out to St. Thomas. I would hear my mom yelling, Bobby, get woke, get your ass out of bed, get washed, get ready for school, and get out of here. As I got older, I realized, hey, my mom was doing a good thing because she was telling me to wake the hell up and do what I had to do. Now, with MAGA, Republican, Trump, blah, 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 being awake is a bad thing. And I have yet to hear a Republican well, they're not really MAGA Republicans, even if they just say, well, I'm a Republican. No, you're not, because you're following Trump, the MAGA chief, right down the path to hell. But as I was saying, I have not heard one of them explain to me what is so terrible with the word woke. I'm trying to figure that out. Now, I admit, I ain't the brightest bulb in the chandelier, okay? But if we're going to play this game about allowing words to scare us, I mean, come on, we're the country where we landed at Normandy. We fought our way through Guadalcanal, and now we're scared of words, right? Over in Russia and the Soviet Union, they consider themselves to be democratic. Do you think they're democratic? I don't. And as much as I respect and admire China, right? I wouldn't want to run for Congress in China because they might say that they're a democracy, but with my backwoods American eyes, no, I don't think that. I don't see that as being a democracy, right? See, a lot of times, just like in politics, it's not what you say you are. It's not what you say you're going to do. It's what you actually do. Now, at this point, let me say, I am not taking I'm not taking anything away from Mamdami. Okay, he is a brilliant campaigner, right? And to me, a fun guy, intelligent. He's sharp on the issues that affect everyday New Yorkers, right? But you know something? And I don't know how folks will take this, but I'm putting it out there because I believe it to be true. There would be no Mamdami if the elected officials that we have in New York City and New York State have been doing their damn job for the last 20, 25 years. Okay? There would never have been a French Revolution if The ruling classes in France did not have, what did Marie Antoinette, what is she alleged to have said? Let them eat cake when the starving masses were begging for bread. If she didn't have that attitude, she might have kept her head on her shoulders. And see, the point that I'm trying to make, and no, I'm not, I'm not trying to stop the anti folks, okay? Please don't give me no ideas. But seriously, what I'm saying is that political movements, people, right? Because people make up political movements, you see. If there was not a cause for a Mamdami, then there wouldn't be a Mamdami. So, especially you elected Democrats and some of you so-called moderate mainstream Republicans, if you haven't taken care of business, uh, Mamdami would not have he would not have be able to be rising to the heights that he now occupies. And that's just the plain truth. So all this business about attacking the guy because listen, it's called democratic socialism. And to make it real simple for the simple folks like myself, it just means that the things that we cannot do as individuals, we as the people, as the body politic, get together through us being the government, and we get it done, right? Law enforcement, which everybody, I call on the right, seems to be attacking my Mamdami about. What is law enforcement? Law enforcement is a social contract where we, the people as a whole, agree that we need a force to protect our life and property. So we have the police, right? Now you can have all different kinds of policing, okay? This business about, he wants to abolish the police. Bullshit. Bullshit. See, I'm a left wing loony who happens to believe, yeah, some people do belong in jail. Okay? So this crap about, yeah, he wants to get rid of the cop. No, it's nonsense. But what he's saying is that you don't need a freaking hammer, right, to chase away butterflies. See? And I think that's the problem. And that law enforcement and the things that law enforcement does be applied fairly to all communities. What the hell is wrong with that? That's like these people, DEI, DEI. Jesus Christ, what the hell is so bad about giving people an opportunity? I don't understand that. What the hell is so bad when you try and get a, a diversity of people, okay, to manage the public affairs? I don't understand that. We're supposed, whether we like it or not, we are an empire, right? Here in America, we are an empire. Now, we can be a good empire or a bad empire, or as we now are under Donald Trump, we can be a falling empire. Being over here in Uganda, it's like a crossroads. You come across all kinds of people, Saudi Arabians, Western Europeans, even some Eastern Europeans, and a lot of Chinese, right? And you know what the general consensus of the rest of the world is America has lost her damn mind. And quite frankly, I happen to agree. We have to get back our sanity, okay? I think one of the ways we can do this is to start judging politicals, our politicians who we elect, we start judging them on the good or the bad that they do, right? And because we're all human, okay? That's why the man put the races on pencils, okay? Because none of us are perfect. And when a politician has an idea and it doesn't work out, doesn't pan out, he or she should have the guts to say, folks, I wanted to do this, I tried that, it didn't work. Let's see if we can get the results that we're after, that we're trying to achieve by doing something else, by doing it a different way. FDR did that, and some of the old folks are still singing his praises. So what I'm saying is that Mamdami, that he definitely deserves a chance. Number one. Number two, he's the choice of if he is the choice of the people, then don't screw with it, right? You elected officials especially, don't screw with it. Don't block the guy. As I said before, this game is supposed to be about democracy, right? And listen, I understand that many of you Congress people, you folks, Congress representatives, senators, what have you, governors, look, Democrat or those who used to be Republicans, I don't know what the hell you are now. Look, you get money, okay? Let's face it. Most of you get money from donors, right? Now, look, we have to realize something that what we have in this country is called legal bribery. And most other democracies in the Western world, if they did what they do in our Congress and in our halls of government, you'd go to jail. You go to jail. You know, very rarely does that happen because the whole idea is you have donors. Okay, do I think that's wrong? I think it's horrible. I think that's one of the main things that prevents us from really being a true democracy. But, and ladies and gentlemen, one thing I have come to learn, I mean, I'm over 65. I really ain't learned that much. But one of the things I have learned, there's always a but. You, our system of the donors, I don't care who you're talking about, APAC, oil, um, tech, high tech, doesn't make a difference. The system is wrong. Okay? But that's the system that we are forced to deal with. Okay? And a lot of people running for office, they really feel that they can do some good. But they have to play by that system, unfortunately. Right? Hopefully, in the future, uh, we will have enough, how should I say, enough weapons in our political arsenal so that we can end that, so that we can end donors being able to sway our politics by dumping money into the game. Huge, vast amounts of money. Okay? So I'm not going to dwell on that, right? I am not going to throw rocks. Oh, well, Congressman X or Congresswoman Z, we know that you're getting X amount of dollars from that group or this group. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now because that's not the particular issue. Okay. It shouldn't be. But we got to be real here. And for most people in government, It exists. What can you say? It exists, right? But what I am saying is that, listen, the vote, the people still have their vote, right? And for at least right now, as I'm speaking, right now, God only knows what Trump and MAGA have up their sleeves for the near future. But for right now, your vote counts. And what I'm telling my fellow Democrats, elected and party functionaries, get off the voters' back. Okay? Now I understand you gotta do your little thing with the donors and all that. This ain't about that. It ain't about that right now. Okay? This is about the people, right? If the people decide the same way if the people decide in November the same way they did a few weeks ago, that's it. Because if you continue to attack this man and harass this man, do you seriously think, look, uh, you especially you Democrats, we are already in the basement in the public mind, okay? And if you're going to attack Mamdami because he wants to give baby baskets to mothers who just given birth, right? He wants to cut down with this whole the mass transit, which I call scandal, that more and more working New Yorkers cannot afford, right? You're going to keep and the whole grocery thing. Yeah, he wants to try something different, right? To try and end the food deserts that we have in this city. And if you want to take the time to attack Mandami on things such as this, oh, and yeah, New York, you definitely need a rent freeze, by the way. Okay? If you're going to keep attacking Mandami on the things that he is trying to do to help people, and the fact that the people want that help, that they are responding to these ideas. And you're out there trying to say this guy is another for Stalin or something, right? Number one, what little teeny tiny respect that you have from the voters, okay? You're going to lose that. And I think that that will be dangerous, okay? The Republican Party has already crashed. Okay, they have given themselves body and soul to Donald Trump, and you see what that's creating. I think that if the Democratic Party, if the same thing happened to them, where they refuse to listen to the voice of the electorate, right, and constantly keep attacking and ranting and raving about excuse me, about Mandami being the Antichrist, okay, the Democratic Party will crash. And in this current environment in America, that could signal the end of democracy. Institutions fall when people stop believing in them. So I suggest you Democrats out there, you elected and party functioning Democrats. Now think about this. Um, Not just in talking about New York, not just in terms of New York, but in terms of nationally. We got beat by a draft dodging convicted criminal who apparently, for all practical intents and purposes, was a goddamn pimp and a pedophile. Now think about that. That's who be our party in the national election. Now, yeah, did race have something to do with it? Yeah. Gender bias? Yeah. Beyond that, okay, there's something seriously wrong with the perception that the public has about the Democratic Party. Whip? I mean, look, I'm out of the projects, proud of it. There's another word that can be used in place of whip. It sounds like wussy, okay? You know where I'm coming from. But that is the perception, okay? You had black and Latino men. Trump believes all Latinos to be garbage. He said Mexicans are rapists, murderers, thieves who come across the American border, who have been coming across the American border for a long time, for forever, according to him. Which number one, that shows how ignorant Trump is. And because that's like when they were coming across the border, they were basically coming home. But who expects Donald Trump to know anything about history? I mean, come on. Okay. But that's what he said about Mexican Americans, right? Puerto Ricans. Well, he went, he went down at the site of one of the greatest hurricanes, and he throws toilet paper at him, causing garbage. So we have an idea about how Trump feels about Latinos. Now, I'm a native born and raised New Yorker. We know what Donald thinks about black folks. Okay. I mean, I'm quite sure Al Sharpton will be. If you don't know, I'm sure Al Sharpton will gladly give you a class on it, right? Yet, these two groups of people who I'm talking about voted for this guy. On top of that, he believes that there should not be a raise in the minimum wage. See what I'm saying? And he thinks that there are jobs for certain ethnic groups. And I would say to my Jewish brothers and sisters, uh, you better watch out because Trump, this guy, um, he thinks that you're stupid for voting Democrat. Don't get mad at me. He said it. I did, right? And with the mercurial frame of mind that Trump has, I think one of the things I think Biden was right about when he was running, what was it, in 20, and he said, be careful because this guy wants to put you back in change, talking to black folks. I don't believe that that was far from the truth, especially when you look at Camp Swampy down there in Florida. For who? Primarily dark-skinned immigrants. I guess he figures he has to do something because he's screwed the farmers so bad. I guess he feels that's a good way for him to provide workers. Okay. But the point I'm making is this is the incredible damaged human being that working class Americans voted for. Now, one of the key phrases that Trump uses is he loves the undereducated. Because we talk about educated versus non-college, that type of thing. When a man tells you that he likes people who don't know as much as other people, I think that's the time to be worried. And this is the anti-American filth that the Democrats are lost to. I think that Democrats, especially those in in the House and the Senate, I think your time will be better spent protecting us from the schemes of Trump and MAGA because he's coming for us and he's coming for you. And don't think for a moment if there's a way that he can get former Democratic office holders in front of the bar of justice. Well, with Trump there, I would have to call it the bar of injustice. But don't think for a moment that he's not going to do it. You're talking about a guy, he cannot depend upon the regular military. He knows that. I know the military. Most of those guys and gals, they are not going to follow unconstitutional laws, or excuse me, unconstitutional orders. They're American. But what he's trying to do, he is trying to use ICE as his own private SS. Remember in Germany, World War II, and before World War II, you had the SS and you had the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht was the regular German army. And then you had the SS joined with the Gestapo. And see, this is what Trump is trying to do. Okay? Silence the media, silence comedians, right? I would say to Congressman Adams over there out there in Washington State, you have a more important job attacking and fighting what happened on the late night show than you do attacking Mamdami. And if Democrats don't realize that, you are going to sound not only you're going to sound the death knell not only for our party, but you are also helping to allow Trump to put the death knell to our democracy. And Governor Cuomo, I tell you straight up, what you are doing is wrong. Okay? And some of you might have noticed, I haven't even mentioned Adams, right? I don't mess with flunkies. Okay? It's not it's not worth taking notice of because you can't commit crimes and then you run. He runs to the White House. Oh, Donald, protect me because I'm going to get indicted if you don't use your Justice Department to protect me. And that's what Trump did. And I would ask the people of New York, is this what you want for a mayor? He didn't do a damn thing while he was in office. And now he runs to a guy that basically he wants war on America, war on America's cities, war on the ethnic and racial minorities in those cities, a war on women, right? A war on working class white males, believe it or not, who say, "Well, hey, boss, how about a pay raise? How about a raise the minimum wage?" And this guy who wants to again be mayor of New York runs to a person like that for protection from his own wrongdoings. And you want to put that in the mayor seat? I mean, come on, folks. Working people in this country already made two gigantic mistakes. They put Trump in there twice, okay? Mostly for the wrong reasons. And it's those, I mean, you have teachers that voted for Trump. Hey, man, I'm amazed at that. And oh, by the way, who are now unemployed or practically unemployed. And I find that amazing. I find it amazing that within these last 5 years, Any teacher would vote Republican, period. Oh, and by the way, before somebody tries to get into that whole what's it called? Trump dimension system, whatever that bullshit is, right? Well, whatever it is, I have it. Okay. However, I do have to admit that I come out of the Republican family. As a matter of fact, I know I'm getting old and wrinkly, but look very carefully, some of you, okay? My dad was Walter Guns. He ran 5 different athletic teams. Back in those days, that's how it was. He ran 5 teams, basically helping young Black and Latino boys to, baseball. Let me see, he had a baseball team, pony league, little league, pony league, right? I was on both. Right? I was a damn good pitcher. I was doing the fastball about, what was it? Clocked at 85 miles an hour when I was 15. I was good. Don't ask what happened. Youthful stupidity. That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't go to the majors. But anyway, track team, a football team. As a matter of fact, our picture is still up in Columbia University in the athletic department, and I'm sitting there like, was I in the front row? I think I was in the front row, right? You can tell my big, because back in those, it's right before the afro. So you see this big, shiny head, that's me, right? And you got my dad up there, Jim Young, right? Who was the head coordinator for athletic field, right down there at 115, 116th Street, Columbia Athletic Field. Yeah, Walter Gomes, yeah. He was also a shipping clerk in a candy factory in Brooklyn, Florida mayor, and he was shop steward for a Union Local 452, right? Anna Rizzo, president. See, hey, baby, I got New York in my blood, right? My mom, she was a housemaid, and then the war came along, and she got the job in Nabisco. She used to pack up the food, the K rations for the GS in World War II, and then became a housewife, school crossing guard. She was real tight with George Collins' mom. Yeah, George Collins was in our neighborhood, right? One of the what they used to call them, Irish holdouts in the western part of Harlem. Yeah, he went to Corpus Christi. I went to St. Thomas the Apostle. All right. So I look at this bullshit that's going on now in the city, and I'm just aghast. All right. But well, my parents were Republican activists. Oh yeah, my own man ran for the assembly in Harlem too, Republican. Yeah. So this bullshit about, I don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about the Republican Party. Kiss my rear. Okay? I know the Republican Party. What we have now, this is not the Republican Party. Okay? This is fundamentally a Nazi party, basically, right? A soft shoe Nazi party. But basically, you get the idea. Okay? What really pisses me off. Now, this is my own personal thing, all right? I'm doing the show, so I got a right to have a few minutes of my own pet peeves. Black Republicans. Now, that brother, oh my God, how did I forget his name? Hey, old age, Father Time is back. But, you know what I'm talking about. He comes from MSNBC. He was the head of the RNC when Obama got elected. Maybe that's why he lost his job. I don't know, but he's a good dude, right? I don't disrespect black Republicans. Well, I don't disrespect anyone as long as they're not disrespecting me. I don't hold any brief against black Republicans. But At this point in time, I expect them, if they are political as they claim to be, because when you say you're a member of a party, you are saying you are political. And if that's the case, I expect you to be out there fighting like this brother on MSNBC is doing against the Trump madness, or at worst, keeping your mouth shut. Okay, and also you have a lot of these media types, rap stars, whatever we are going to call them. Some athletes don't support Trump. So I'm looking at you as a Black American, looking at another Black American who basically you made your success. Whatever you're doing it because of the civil rights movement. I don't give a good goddamn how talented you are. Okay? It's just like blacks in the media, on the mainstream media. How do you think they got there? They owe their jobs to Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party. Because in the early 60s, when a lot of this stuff started to boil up, they sent reporters into the so-called ghetto and into the projects to try and find out what it was all about. What was Malcolm talking about? What were the Panthers talking about? And you know what the Malcolm and the Panthers did? It. You know, we're talking to you. How come you don't have black reporters? These are issues, impacting our community. Why don't you have people who look like us asking some of the questions? And that's how you started seeing black faces in the mainstream media. And don't tell me I'm wrong because I was there, right? And see, I think that's the problem with a lot of blacks out there. Oh, I'm a Republican. I'm supporting Trump. Yeah. And to my friends out there who are not African American, this is not about, oh, well, you just don't like him because you saying he's betraying blacks. Guess what? When you betray any group of Americans on issues that are just, you're betraying all of us. So just like that boy in Florida, just like Tim Scott, right? Just like that boy, what's his name? Donald, whatever this crap his name is, black father congressman. Oh, God, my goodness. I want to know, they got, what's his name, Hegseth, the guy who was a drunk, um, now Secretary of Defense. How you get to be a Secretary of Defense with a reputation like that, I don't know. But nevertheless, there it is. This guy is ripping black heroes off the walls of the Pentagon. We're talking about brothers that fought in the Revolutionary War for the 13 colonies. We're talking about brothers that fought in the War of 1812. We're talking about brothers that fought in the Civil War, right? We're talking about brothers that fought in the Spanish American War. We're talking about brothers that fought in the Mexican American, not war, but incident, border incident, where America crossed into Mexico under General Blackjack Pershing. And how do you think they got to call him Blackjack? Because he used to command black troops of the 9th and 10th Colored Cav. Yeah. Our World War One hero. Ever hear the private war, what was his name? Needham and Johnson? Killed almost 100 Germans single-handedly by himself to avoid being captured. Mm? So, this bullshit with Tim Scott and his fellow shoeshine boy in Florida, crap that they're talking, okay? To me, it's un-American because America is supposed to love and respect all of our heroes. So why are you going to tear us off the walls, change the names of ships to traitors? You know, I don't understand that. And then you have these black political men who say, well, I support this guy that's doing that. So I would say to my white fellow citizens. Is this the kind of friend that you want? I would not respect an Italian that publicly made derogatory comments about his own people. I would not respect an Irishman that would make public derogatory comments about his own people. Why would you, and I would say this to the white voters in that black boys district, and I do mean boy, why would you respect someone like that who makes derogatory comments about his own people? I'm not saying, yeah, well, I'm an Italian, that Italian committed a crime, so he should go home free. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the wholesale contempt. Daniels, I think that's his name, Daniels, from Florida, right? He made the comment that the black family was better than slavery. Oh, so we were better off with a group of Ku Klux Klan people could come to our door, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, we heard that your 15-year-old son smiled at a white girl, so we're going to take him and teach him a lesson." And you know what happened a lot of times? Especially you out there by yourself, and you got maybe 5 or 6 other kids that you're raising. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? That's what happened to that boy from Chicago back in the 50s. Went down to Mississippi. He was accused of something. I think, what was he, about 15, 14 to 15? Emmett Till. Yeah. That's exactly what happened to him. They came for him that night. I think it was his uncle or cousin or someone. There's about 5 or 6 other kids in the family, plus plus women. Is one hell of a hard rock to be between. And this, I don't know what you call that boy in Florida, but this clown, oh yeah, he's running for governor too. This clown says that, yeah, our families were better off under slavery. See, that's the caliber of the type of people, of black people that support Trump. Unfortunately, the way racism has been in this country, you have some blacks and unfortunately many Latinos from different parts of the Latino world, you fell for it. I'm not one of these black people that said, oh, well, the Cubans and Venezuelans and Colombians, they had it coming. I don't think it's good when I see you guys being cut off, and when I see children being torn from parents and vice versa, veterans being shipped back or deported, right? Or parents of veterans being shipped, to concentration camps. You voted wrong. Boom. It's done. Let's get over it and move forward. No, what disgusts me is Latino and black politicians and community leaders that still cling to this whole Trump fantasy. Oh, if you could just see the harm that he's doing. Well, this is what elected Democrats need to deal with. Because we got some serious problems. We're being controlled by a criminal pimp. And that's what your president is. He's a pimp. It's all coming out, right? Who wants to be a dictator? This is the last go around for him in life, okay? He wants to be dictator of the United States. And he has a sick mind. And he knows he's on the losing side because every day more and more Americans are turning against him. What do they teach you in the forest and in the jungle? What's the worst, besides man, what is the most dangerous animal? A wounded animal. So, my fellow Democrats, I think it's time that you get off Mamdami's back, either help or sit down and shut the hell up and do the job that your voters sent you to Washington to do, number one, and start standing up like you got a pair of testicles, male and female. And you know what I mean. That's what you need to be concerned about. Don't worry about Mamdami. The people of New York City will make their voices heard as long as you don't help to try to tamper with the electoral process. And that's, quite frankly, I think that that's enough, and all that needs to be said about that situation. And yes, Mamdami for mayor, God bless. Time, definitely time for a change. It's definitely time for the voice of the people. Listen, I'm getting ready to enjoy a wonderful Ugandan fish dinner, and I hope that you folks are well and happy. Take care. We will meet again. It's Bob Jones of the Concerned Forum. Have a good night.